My name is Ryan Earnhardt from CreativeSoundLab.tv. I'm hanging out at the SonicScoop channel today to check out the Soundtoys 5 bundle. I want to show you a couple big wins that I was able to make in this difficult mix. It's a song by Jordan Okrand called Higher Mind. But I found out after tracking that the drums were kind of dark and tubby, they just had no life to them, and the choruses needed kind of a lift. I also wanted to add some effects to the background vocals to fill up some space. Let's get started. To a higher mind. So these drums I really struggled with because they were very dark and they're very easy to sound kind of dull and lifeless. And so I wanted to have some sort of spatial effects to bring them to life and add some dimension. Let me play you these same drums, but without any of the Soundtoys plugins. Now, the real struggle with these drums is the fact that the snare just sounds very, very dead, and I really needed to add some life to this. And I found that the microshift is actually perfect for the job. Check this out. So it's actually not just the snare that has this applied. I created a bus with the microshift on it, and I'm actually feeding it kick and even toms. I started out thinking, well, this is great for snare, but then I found, man, it is incredible for kick, just to bring a little bit of spaciousness to the kick sound. I don't want to add a reverb on kick, but this is allowing that attack of the kick drum to have a little bit of a dimension to it. Another part of this drum sound is the short reverb. I needed something that was bright and added just a little bit of lift to that snare. I actually found one tucked away, hidden in the Echo Boy Jr. I never would have guessed that you can use the delay in this way and control the sound of it using the delay time and the feedback. It's a really nice delay that works actually quite well on snare, works also great for vocal, just to add a little bit of a dimension. Almost like a short room sound.
No one can buy me when I see it's a fake. I'll close the door, all the limits I face.
Now these are fairly extreme settings for the context of the mix, but I want you to really hear the effect that I'm talking about. Now, speaking of tucking the effect away in the mix, we actually have the option of normal versus wide, and of course, ping pong. One of my favorite ways is to start off in the normal, dial in the effect, and then switch it into wide. The effect immediately becomes more audible, and then I can tuck it down in the mix, using less of it, and hopefully have less mud in the mix because of the effect.
Each reaction's a hallway, so many rooms to choose. Can take a step backwards, but that's not what I'll do.
The next big win for me was creating a simulated choir during the chorus section. And this was done through Little Altar Boy and through two vocal takes. I had the main vocal track and a backup vocal take. And through the process of layering these same takes, I was able to make a choir. Let me just break this down for you on how it's created.
To a higher mind. A higher mind. A higher mind. A higher mind.
Yeah, so it's pretty incredible because I only had two takes. Now, I guess you could have said, well, why not just take the chorus 2 and chorus 3, copy it over to chorus 1, and basically get enough vocal parts there. But I wanted to see how far I could take the Altar Boy. So this is the main vocal track right here, and then these are all the duplicated vocal tracks. So one of these is actually the exact same vocal as the main vocal. But thanks to the Ultra Boy, we've changed it enough to really make it work. It doesn't sound like a duplicate. So my first instinct was to go low on this, and so I pitched down by -12, and then I also did the formant at -2 or -3. And I found this actually gave me a really nice result. And it's kind of a dead giveaway when you pitch shift something if you don't adjust the formant. So this actually is key to making this work. So again, I started with 2 of the pitched down layers. Here's what that sounded like just on its own.
To a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind. To a higher mind, a higher mind. To a higher mind. A higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, to a higher mind.
So this is really key to get the right tone in these vocals to create our fake choir. So we have 2 at the low, and then I was like, well, why don't we do 2 at the high? So we did 2 pitched up an octave higher.
To a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind. To a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind.
So I like that sound. It sounds like it's, some dude singing in the falsetto range. I'm just going to go with that and see how well it works. But I also had an idea to just take the vocal track and just do one right down the middle. So here it is without changing the pitch, but just changing the formant. And this is actually a really cool trick if you want to use a duplicate vocal track and make it blend with the original. But it's not so obvious that it's coming from that original because it's a different format.
To a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind.
Man, that just sounds great. I mean, that I think really works. So from here, it was just a matter of panning the layers. So we have a low on each side, a high on each side, and we have a formant adjusted only right down the middle. So let's check out how I process this at the bus level. So we have a compressor, and then I immediately followed it up with a micro shift. Now we haven't actually been hearing this so far. I just turned it on. Let's see how it sounds.
To a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind.
Yeah, so it's just helping to add some largeness and kind of skew the layers, kind of blur the lines between some of the tracks. There's a little bit of kind of almost like a vocal fry effect, so I'm trying to kind of just ease that, make it sound a little bit more blended. From here, I added a CQ. I took out some of the lows, took out some of the highs. This is kind of a simulation of physics, as we have a microphone that is more and more away from a source. We're going to lose high end as sound travels through air. So I took out some of the high end just to simulate the microphone at a distance from a choir. Then we added some reverb. I just put this right in the track. I just went ahead and did a mix of wet and dry. A lot of times I like to bust my effects, but for this, I just figured, hey, I know exactly what I want out of this. So kind of a big reverb here, but not much low end at all, because I really don't want to muddy up the mix. Did another compressor here, did another CQ, and here I'm just taking out some of the lows here just to make these vocals pop and allow the main vocal to have a lot of that vocal body. I don't want these vocals to compete for that low end that the main vocal occupies.
Higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind, a higher mind.
Now, my third big win of the Soundtoys 5 bundle is the effects rack. It may seem like a quick way to load up plugins, but I really like the added features, such as this recycle knob, the mix knob, even the input and output are extremely helpful. Now, this output is basically the wet signal, so it doesn't affect the dry signal over here, which is great for balancing out the effect versus the dry. And of course, each of the individual plugins has a lot of, control over the mix of wet and dry, but this is over the entire chain. Now, you can see how this goes pretty crazy in a hurry, because we have this recycle option, and something like the decapitator doesn't have a feedback loop necessarily built in, but now it does. So my idea was to take something that regenerated and then went back through the decapitator and slowly got more and more distorted and slowly just fell apart. And even if it's not right for the mix, it just goes to show how much creativity these plugins bring to the table. So it may not be that I need such a long tail, especially a distorted one at that, but what's really cool is the crystallizer is ringing out, slowly doing a pitch bend down, just adding some interest to that huge space in the track.
No need to wait on the weather, 'cause I am part of a higher mind.
Here it is tucked into the mix.
No need to wait on the weather, 'cause I am part of a higher mind. Ooh.
Yeah, it just really, I would have never thought that a pitch bend would have been something that the track needed, but just playing around with it, it's a sound toy. I ended up really liking that and how it fills the space. It almost seems like something's just falling into that void there. Really, really cool, dramatic effect. So, I've really enjoyed checking out the Soundtoys 5 bundle, and you can see it's done some fantastic things to this mix. I was able to revive some really dark and dull drum sounds. I was able to create a fake choir that really made the chorus pop, and then add some really cool atmospheric effects that filled in the space and these long gaps in the track. You can find more information on the Soundtoys 5 bundle at soundtoys.com. Once again, my name is Ryan Earnhardt from creativesoundlab.tv. Be hanging out in the comments below to hear your questions and your thoughts. Talk to you soon.